1. The Mainz trauma, PTSD in 90 minutes. Let's rip the band-aid off immediately. If you're a Dortmund fan, you know exactly where you were on May 27th, 2023. It was supposed to be the day, the exorcism, the end of the Bayern Munich tyranny. All you had to do was beat Mainz, a team with absolutely nothing to play for. They were arguably already on vacation. They were metaphorically wearing flip-flops and holding piña coladas. The Meisterschale was sitting in the Signal Iduna Park. The parade was planned, the city was painted yellow, Bayern Munich was struggling against Cologne, the script was written, and then you watched the single greatest choke job in the history of modern football. It wasn't just a loss, it was a comprehensive collapse of the human spirit. Within 24 minutes, you were down 0-2. Sebastian Haller, a man whose story is inspirational and who carried the team for months, steps up to a penalty and misses. Of course he misses, because the football gods are not just cruel, they are sadistic screenwriters. You clawed back to a 2-2 draw, but it didn't matter, because over in Cologne, Jamal Musiala scored in the 89th minute for Bayern. You didn't lose the title because Bayern was better. You lost it because, when the pressure cooker whistle blew, Dortmund didn't just crack, they evaporated. This specific event encapsulates the entire BVB existence. It's the mentality monster. The club is built on vibes, emotion and heavy metal football. But vibes don't win titles when your knees are shaking. Dortmund is that student who studies all semester, aces every quiz, writes a brilliant thesis, and then forgets to set their alarm for the final exam. The trauma of that Mainz game isn't just about one season. It broke something in the fan base. It confirmed the darkest suspicion lurking in every supporter's mind. We are allergic to silver. Even when Bayern Munich hands us the title on a silver platter, wrapped in a bow, with a handwritten note saying, "Please take this. We are tired." We politely decline and trip over our own shoelaces. So now, every time the team looks good, every time they go on a winning run, you don't feel joy. You feel dread. You're just waiting for the Mainz moment. You're not celebrating goals anymore. You're just checking the clock, praying time moves faster than your defence's ability to implode. 2. The world's most expensive nursery, the feeder club complex. Imagine you fall in love. It's intense. It's passionate. You buy them gifts. You chant their name. You build your entire weekend around seeing them. And then, just as things are getting serious, just as you think, this is the one, they leave you for a richer, more attractive guy who lives in Madrid or Manchester. And then it happens again, and again, and again. To be a Dortmund fan is to be stuck in a perverse, relentless cycle of heartbreak. You are the ultimate stepping stone. You are the good luck Chuck of European football. Look at the alumni list. It reads like a world end. Robert Lewandowski. Left for free to your biggest rival. We'll get to that. Ousmane Dembele. Threw a tantrum, trashed a rented house, left for Barcelona. Christian Pulisic. Left for Chelsea. Jadon Sancho. Left for United. Then came back like a desperate ex, then left again. Erling Haaland. Used the club as a literal gym to bulk up before going to City to win everything. Jude Bellingham, the prince, the chosen one, gone to Real Madrid to win the Champions League immediately. Against you. This is the business model. Hans-Joachim Watzke and the board run the club like a hedge fund, not a trophy-hunting predator. The goal isn't really to displace Bayern Munich. The goal is to find a teenager in France or England for $20 million, polish him up, give him 50 appearances and sell him for $100 million. Economically, it's brilliant. The spreadsheet looks fantastic. The shareholders are popping champagne. Sportingly, it is soul-destroying. You can't build a legacy when the bricks keep moving to England. Every season feels like a reboot. Okay, Haaland is gone, but look at this guy Adeyemi. Okay, Bellingham is gone, but Messi is, well, he's here. You're constantly asked to emotionally invest in players who view your club as a LinkedIn internship. They are there to get the experience on the CV, and the moment a serious offer comes in, they are gone. You aren't rooting for a team, you're rooting for a logistics company. You cheer when a player scores, not because it helps you win the league, but because it just added another $5 million to his transfer value. You're basically watching Shark Tank Bundesliga edition. And for that reason, I'm out-eyed to Manchester City. 3. The Bayern Munich Stockholm Syndrome. Rivalries are supposed to be competitive. It's supposed to be Batman versus the Joker. a clash of titans. But the Der Klassiker, a marketing term invented to sell TV rights to Americans, by the way, is not a rivalry. It is a ritualistic sacrifice. It is Wile E. Coyote versus the Roadrunner. You spend all year plotting, buying ACME explosives, new signings, drawing up complex blueprints, tactics, and convinced that this time you'll catch them. And then the anvil falls on your head. Again. It's not just that Bayern wins, it's how they win. For a decade, going to the Allianz Arena was an automatic 4-0 or 5-0 loss. It was penciled into the calendar. Matchday 28 against Bayern away. Yeah, mark that down as 4-goal difference and a morale-shattering humiliation. But it gets worse. Bayern doesn't just beat you on the field, they cannibalise you. Götze, Hummels, Lewandowski. The moment a Dortmund player becomes world-class, the Eye of Sauron in Bavaria turns north. They buy your best players, bench them half the time just to prove a point, and then win the league by 15 points. And the worst part? The Dortmund board seems oddly okay with it. They have a weirdly cosy relationship. It feels like Bayern is the big brother who beats you up, but then gives you a noogie and buys you an ice cream so you forgive them. This stems from the financial disparity, sure, but it's psychological. Dortmund enters these games with fear. You can smell it through the TV screen. The defence drops 5 yards deeper, the passing becomes erratic. It's an inferiority complex ingrained in the DNA of the club since the 2013 Champions League final. That 2013 final was the turning point. You had Klopp, you had the power, you had the momentum, and Arjen Robben rolled that ball past Weidenfeller, and the club has been living in that shadow ever since. Every match against them is a reminder of what you almost were. Supporting Dortmund against Bayern is like watching a horror movie, where you know the monster is in the closet, but the character opens the door anyway. You know the 4-1 loss is coming. You know Harry Kane is going to score a hat-trick, but you watch. Why? Because you're a masochist. And because deep down you think, maybe the anvil won't fall this time. Spoiler, the anvil always falls. 4. Defending is for cowards and teams that win trophies. There is a specific sound that emits from a Borussia Dortmund living room. It isn't a cheer, it isn't a cry. It is a sharp, collective intake of breath followed by the phrase, "What is he doing?" You know the feeling. It's the 82nd minute. You're winning 2-1 against a team like Augsburg or Bochum, a team whose entire wage bill is less than Niklas Süle's lunch allowance. You should be controlling the game. You should be killing the clock. Instead, your defensive line is standing at the halfway line, your fullback is inexplicably playing as a second striker, and there is a cavernous gap in the middle of the pitch, large enough to park a Volkswagen factory. Dortmund doesn't just concede goals, they concede comedy goals. They concede goals that make you question the laws of physics and professional aptitude. For years, the defensive strategy has been all vibes, no head. Remember the days of watching the high line get exposed by a simple long ball? Of course you do, because it happens every weekend. Whether it's Mats Hummels running with the turning circle of a cruise ship, or Emre Can deciding that the best place to dribble is inside his own 6-yard box, the back line is a content generator for blooper reels. In the 2023-24 season, Dortmund reached the Champions League final, a miracle, while simultaneously possessing a Bundesliga defence that looked like it was assembled from spare parts found at IKEA. They finished 5th in the league. 5th. The gap between the defence's best day, shutting out PSG, and their worst day, getting battered by Stuttgart multiple times, is not a gap. It's a canyon. It's the philosophy. The club is addicted to spectacle. A 1-0 win is seen as boring. The BVB board seems to believe that if you aren't winning 4-3, you aren't really playing authentic Dortmund football. This leads to a recruitment strategy where they buy defenders who are great at passing, great at dribbling, and great at shooting, but treat actual tackling like it's an optional side quest. They buy fullbacks who are frustrated wingers. They buy centre-backs who want to be playmakers. The result? A goalkeeper, Gregor Kobel, who is arguably the busiest man in North Rhine-Westphalia. Without Kobel, Dortmund would be fighting for a Conference League spot with Heidenheim. Supporting this team is a cardiovascular hazard. You don't watch the last 10 minutes of a game, you survive them. You could be up 3-0 and you're still sweating because you just know that this team is capable of conceding 3 goals in 4 minutes just to feel something. 5. The looking for Klopp syndrome, the coach carousel. Imagine you had the perfect partner. They were funny, charismatic, passionate and successful. You had the best years of your life together. Then they left. It's been nearly a decade, and you're still trying to date people who look like them, dress like them, or talk like them, but have none of their actual substance. This is Borussia Dortmund's managerial history since 2015. Thomas Tuchel, too cold, too tactical, got fired for being annoying despite winning a cup. Peter Bosz, suicide highline football, fired. Peter Stöger, boring football, gone. Lucien Favre, a tactical nerd who bottled the league when it mattered most. Marco Rose, supposed to be the saviour, lasted 1 season. Edin Terzic, the fan on the bench, he bled black and yellow. He sang the songs. He had the vibes. He took you to within an inch of glory in a Champions League final, but the football was often terrorism against the eyes. And now, Nuri Sahin, another former player, another attempt to recapture the DNA. The club hierarchy, Watzke and Sammer, is obsessed with identification. They don't just want a good coach, they want a cult leader. They are desperately chasing the ghost of Jurgen Klopp. They want the heavy metal football, the fist pumps, the emotional connection. But in doing so, they often overlook tactical competence. They hire Borussia men rather than the best man for the job. While Bayer Leverkusen hired Xabi Alonso, a tactical visionary with a clear plan, Dortmund keeps hiring based on vibes and nostalgia. They are trying to recreate a moment in time that is gone forever, stuck in a nostalgia loop, hiring former players and expecting them to magically inherit coaching genius through osmosis. The punchline. It's an endless cycle of new era, followed by trust the process, followed by we need to analyse the season, followed by mutual termination. The manager changes, but the problems stay exactly the same. At this point, they might as well put the mascot Emma the Bee in charge. At least the press conferences would be buzzworthy. 6. The Robin Hood transfer policy. We talked about selling stars, but let's talk about how that money is spent. Because this is where the true tragedy lies. This is the reverse Moneyball. Dortmund operates like a frantic Robin Hood. They take massive fees from the rich, Premier League clubs, and redistribute it to the poor, average Bundesliga clubs, in exchange for incredibly mediocre players. Remember when Dortmund sold Ousmane Dembélé for over $100 million? Do you know where that money went? It went into the pockets of Nico Schulz, 20 Mendes, or Thorgan Hazard, 20 Mendes, or Andre Schürrle, 30. It is a graveyard of mid-table Bundesliga talent bought for premium prices. For every Jadon Sancho they unearth, there are 3 Felix and Mechas bought for $30 million who produce whelming results. The club has a fetish for buying players who had one good season at Hoffenheim or Gladbach. Oh, he ran fast and scored 8 goals for Wolfsburg? Here is $30 million and a 5-year contract. Then, the player arrives at the Westfalenstadion, feels the pressure of 80,000 people, and forgets how to play football. Risk aversion masked as knowing the league. The board is terrified of buying a foreign player who might not adapt, despite their best successes being foreign players who adapted. So they overpay for German reliability. They buy players to raise the floor of the team, but end up lowering the ceiling. They fill the squad with solid 6'10" players on Champions League wages, making them impossible to sell when they inevitably flop. It's why the squad depth always feels terrible, despite spending hundreds of millions. You look at the bench and realise you sold a Ferrari to buy 4 Honda Civics, and 3 of them have engine trouble. You aren't building a super team. You're building the most expensive, decent team in the world. 7. The Wembley Curse, the cruelest sequel ever made. Hollywood loves a sequel. Usually they are worse than the original. But in the case of Borussia Dortmund and Wembley Stadium, the sequel was just a shot-for-shot remake of the same tragedy, remastered in 4K resolution for a new generation to cry over. We have to talk about the 2024 Champions League Final. 11 years after the 2013 heartbreak against Bayern, Dortmund defied every odd, every statistic, and every logical projection to return to Wembley. You beat Atletico Madrid. You shut down Kylian Mbappé and PSG twice. You kept clean sheets when it mattered. For a few brief weeks, the eternal loser tag fell off. You believed. The yellow wall descended on London. The narrative was perfect. Marco Reus's final game, the redemption arc, the chance to slay the ultimate boss, Real Madrid. And what happened? You actually played better than Real Madrid for 70 minutes. Adeyemi broke through on goal, rounded the keeper, and went too wide. Füllkrug hit the post. The chances were there. You had the kings of Europe on the ropes. But because you are Borussia Dortmund and they are Real Madrid, the script is immutable. You don't take your chances, you get punished. A simple corner kick. Carvajal, of all people, scores, then a mistake by Martzen. Vinicius scores, 2-0. Good night. It wasn't a humiliation like losing to Bayern. It was something worse. It was the realization that even when you play the perfect game tactically, the universe will simply refuse to let you lift the big-eared trophy. Real Madrid raised an eyebrow and won. Dortmund poured their blood, sweat and soul onto the pitch and got a participation medal. This solidified the club's identity as the ultimate nearly men. 2013, finalists. 2024, finalists. Dortmund has become the Washington Generals to Europe's Harlem Globetrotters. We are there to make the match look competitive, to provide the drama, to create the incredible atmosphere, but we are strictly prohibited from actually winning the main prize. The 2024 final proved that no matter who the coach is, who the players are, or how magical the run is, there is a glass ceiling made of reinforced concrete hovering over this club. So you walked out of Wembley into the London rain, realising that you just witnessed the end of the Hummels-Ruiz era with 0 trophies to show for it in Europe. You didn't just lose a game, you watched a decade of emotional investment fade to black without the payoff. But hey, the choreography in the stands looked great on Instagram, right? 8. The Dortmund Hospital. Why are we made of glass? There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and a Borussia Dortmund key player tearing a muscle in October. Every season starts the same. Wow, the squad depth looks good. We have cover for every position. By November, your starting lineup includes a 17-year-old from the U19s, a defensive midfielder playing centre-back, and a winger playing full-back, because everyone else is in the ICU. The injury record at this club is statistically baffling. It defies sports science. Remember Giovanni Reina? A talent made of porcelain. Remember Erling Haaland missing chunks of the season with muscle issues before going to City and becoming a cyborg who never gets hurt? Remember Marco Reus missing the 2014 World Cup and the 2016 Euros and the 2022 World Cup? It feels like the training ground is built on an ancient burial ground. Or maybe the physio team is just 3 guys with a bag of ice and some ibuprofen. When you sign a player, you aren't checking their stats, you're checking their medical insurance deductible. Look at Sebastian Haller, cancer battle aside, which was tragic and brave, or the constant knocks to players like Brandt, Kobel, or the new signing Serhou Guirassy, who arrived injured. Of course he did. It's a rite of passage. Is it the training intensity, the pitch, the water in Dortmund? No one knows. But it serves as the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for the season. When the team collapses in the winter, the excuse is always ready. Well, we had too many injuries. It's a crutch. It prevents real analysis of the failures because there is always a valid medical excuse. The Dortmund Hospital isn't just a meme, it's a structural pillar of the club's annual failure cycle. Supporting Dortmund means holding your breath every time a player sprints. If a player goes down clutching his hamstring, you don't think, oh, hope he's okay. You think, well, there goes the season, see you in August. You start following the team doctor on Twitter more closely than the strikers. 9. The Echte Liebe trap, killing us with kindness. Echte Liebe, true love. It's the club's slogan. It's plastered on the bus, the stadium, the scarves, the coffee mugs. It sounds romantic. It implies a deep, unconditional bond between the club and the city. But here's the dark truth. It's a trap. It is a weaponized marketing tool designed to guilt-trip you into accepting mediocrity. In other big clubs, Bayern, Real Madrid, Chelsea, if the team plays like garbage for 3 weeks, the fans whistle. They boo, they demand change, the pressure becomes unbearable and the board is forced to act. In Dortmund, you lose 4-1 at home to Leipzig and what happens? The yellow wall stays after the game. They wave the flags, they sing "You'll Never Walk Alone." The players stand there looking sheepish, clapping the fans. It's beautiful, yes, but it's also toxic. This unconditional support has created a comfort zone. The players know they won't get roasted in the streets. They know that as long as they show effort, or pretend to, the fans will forgive them. The Echte Liebe brand has turned the Westfalenstadion from a fortress of intimidation into a safe space for underperforming millionaires. The board loves this. As long as the stadium is sold out, which it always is, 81,365 people strong, and as long as the merchandise sells, they are happy. The atmosphere is the product. The football is just the filler content. Dortmund fans are customers of an experience. You're paying to be part of the best fans in the world, and the price of admission is your right to be angry. If you complain, you're told you aren't a real fan. You aren't showing true love. You're trapped in a relationship where you do all the giving and the club does all the taking. You scream your lungs out for 90 minutes, lose your voice, spend your paycheck on tickets, and in return the team gives you a 2-2 draw against Heidenheim and a post-match interview where Emre Can says, "We need to learn from this. You're not a fan, you're an enabler, and deep down, you know it." 10. The leadership vacuum. Where have all the alphas gone? Close your eyes and picture a Borussia Dortmund captain. If you're over 30, you picture Matthias Sammer, a man who looked like he would physically bite your ear off if you misplaced a pass. You picture Sebastian Kehl, a gritty, blood and guts warrior who would run through a brick wall for the badge. Now, open your eyes and look at the current squad. Who is scaring the opponent? Who is grabbing the team by the scruff of the neck when you're down 1-0 to Union Berlin? For years, the captaincy was held by Marco Reus, a club legend, absolutely. A gifted technician, one of the best. A vocal leader who rallies the troops in a crisis, about as much as a librarian shushing a noisy patron. Reus's body language when things went wrong, shoulders slumped, head down, hands on hips, became the visual definition of the club's fragility. Now, the armband is with Emre Can. Emre Can is passionate, sure, but his leadership style is less calculated general and more guy who starts a bar fight because someone looked at him wrong. He leads by example, but often that example is getting a yellow card for a reckless tackle in the 15th minute, leaving the rest of the team to walk on eggshells. The club prioritised harmony over friction. They built a squad of nice young men. Julian Brandt, Nico Schlotterbeck, Karim Adeyemi. They're all talented, likeable guys. They probably have great skincare routines and active Twitch channels, but they aren't mean. To win titles, you need bastards. You need players who are comfortable with the dark arts. Bayern has Kimmich and Neuer screaming at everyone. Real Madrid has Rudiger pinching people. Dortmund has a squad that apologises to the referee after getting fouled. The locker room lacks that abrasive winning edge that refuses to accept mediocrity. Watching Dortmund try to manage a heated game is like watching a group of golden retrievers try to intimidate a pack of wolves. They're barking, sure, but everyone knows they just want belly rubs and a treat. 11. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the home versus away split. There is a phenomenon in science known as quantum superposition, where a particle exists in two states simultaneously. In football, this is known as Borussia Dortmund 2024-20 under Nuri Sahin. There are two teams. Team A, home, plays at Signal Iduna Park, looks like 1970s Brazil, scores 7 goals against Celtic, dominates possession. The crowd noise fuels them like nuclear energy. They look invincible. Team B, away, plays anywhere else. Looks like a pub team that met in the parking lot 5 minutes before kickoff. The disparity is actually frightening. You watch a Friday night game at home, beat St. Pauli or Leipzig and think, we are back, we are serious contenders. Then, the following Saturday you travel to Augsburg or Mainz, and suddenly the players forget how to run. The intensity vanishes, you lose 2-1, the stats don't lie. The away form, losing 4 or 5 away games in a row, is the stuff of relegation candidates, not Champions League finalists. It is baffling. It's the same players, the same shoes, the same ball. But the moment they step outside the comforting embrace of the yellow wall, they turn into frightened children. It proves the vibes FC theory. Dortmund relies on emotion, not structure. When the 80,000 fans are screaming, the adrenaline masks the tactical flaws. The players run faster because the noise forces them to. When they play away, in a hostile or quiet environment, the adrenaline fades, and all that is left is the system, and the system is often broken. Without the external battery pack of the fans, the team has no internal power source. You basically have to accept that your team is agoraphobic. They are world beaters in their own living room, but the moment they step out the front door, they get mugged by mediocrity. 12. The annual calendar of misery. Being a Dortmund fan isn't just random chaos, it is a highly structured, predictable schedule of pain. You can set your watch by it. The names change, the years change, but the timeline remains undefeated. The cycle. August, The delusion phase. This is our year. Bayern looks weak. We signed insert mid-table Bundesliga player, and he looks great in pre-season. We are winning the treble. September, the reality check. We draw 2-2 against a promoted team like Heidenheim or Holstein Kiel at home because we fell asleep. Doubt creeps in. October, the Munich massacre, the inevitable drubbing by Bayern. Or alternatively, a respectable 1-1 draw that gives us false hope. November, the injury crisis. Half the squad is dead. We are playing a 19-year-old winger at right back. We lose to Stuttgart. The coach is under pressure. December, the winter depression. We limp into the winter break in 5th place. The board promises analysis. February, the cup exit. We get knocked out of the DFB Pokal by a team we should beat comfortably. Usually Stuttgart, again, or Leipzig. March, April, the fake comeback. Suddenly we win 5 games in a row. We are flying. We are within 4 points of the top. The hope returns. The media asks, is the title race back on? May, the bottle job. We have a must-win game to keep the pressure on. We lose. Bayern wins the league while sitting on their couch. We secure Champions League football on the final day. June, the sales. We sell our best player to Real Madrid or Manchester City. July, this is our year. Bayern looks weak. It is the movie Groundhog Day, but without the moral redemption arc. You just wake up, step in the same icy puddle, and convince yourself it's actually a refreshing spa treatment. Final thoughts. The Stockholm Syndrome supersized. So why do we do it? Why do we wake up at ungodly hours to watch a defence made of Swiss cheese? Why do we spend thousands of euros to fly to London just to watch Vinicius Jr. dance on our graves? Why do we buy the kits, sing the songs, and endure the banter from Bayern fans who have never set foot in Bavaria? Because when it works, my God, it's beautiful. Because watching the yellow wall bounce in unison is a religious experience. Because seeing a player like Marco Reus or Lukasz Piszczek give their entire career to the club means something in an era of mercenaries. Because we aren't customers of a winning machine like Bayern or City. We are members of a dysfunctional, chaotic, emotional family. We don't choose Dortmund because it's easy. We choose it because we are addicted to the drama. We are addicted to the high of the 4-3 win, even if the 1-2 loss ruins our week. We are the romantic fools of European football, forever chasing a sunset that we never quite catch. We are the eternal silver medalists, and deep down, in the darkest part of our subconscious, we probably wouldn't know what to do with gold anyway. We'd probably just drop it. So yeah, it's a miserable, heart-wrenching existence fueled by overpriced beer and defensive errors. But hey, at least the tifo looked good. See you next week for another mental breakdown. Subscribe. End. If you're watching this, I assume you enjoy pain. Not the sharp, sudden kind of pain, like stepping on a Lego or watching Manchester United try to play out from the back. No, being a Borussia Dortmund fan requires a refined palate for suffering. It is a slow, dull, chronic ache that sits in your chest, occasionally relieved by a moment of pure euphoria, just so the universe can rip your heart out with maximum efficiency moments later. You don't support a football club, you support a tragically flawed protagonist in a German art house film where everyone dies at the end, but the cinematography is beautiful. Welcome to the BVB experience. The club that has turned coming in second into a high-performance art form. The club that possesses the most electrifying stadium in Europe. The yellow wall, a 25,000-person standing wave of noise and passion, all gathered together to witness their team bottle a 2-0 lead against a relegation candidate in the 89th minute. To be a Dortmund fan is to live in a state of perpetual what if. What if we hadn't sold him? What if the referee had eyes? What if we just won? But you don't win. You entertain. You create highlights for YouTube. You produce Ballon d'Or contenders for other teams. And you wake up every Monday morning wondering why you didn't just choose to support a team that is fundamentally incapable of hope, like Schalke, because at least the despair there is consistent. With Dortmund, it's the hope that kills you. It's the proximity to greatness that makes the mediocrity so unbearable. Grab a tissue and a pint of overpriced stadium beer. Let's talk about why this sucks.